Our other top story tonight, U.S. diplomats have been granted access to the Novi man arrested in Russia, accused of spying.
Paul Whelan arrested last Friday, currently being held by the Russian Federal Security Service. Today, the incoming U.S. Congresswoman for his district, Haley Stevens, issued a statement, and it reads in part, a quote, "I am alarmed by Russia's detainment of one of my constituents, Paul Whelan. I have been in touch with the Whelan family, and I am committed to working with them to bring Mr. Whelan home." Let's bring in Steve Garagiola, who I guess, Steve, we've learned today that he has now been seen by a U.S. official. That's a big step.
Yeah, at least that much we know. Devin and Sandra, John Huntsman, U.S. ambassador to Russia, met with Paul Whelan this afternoon. No details of that meeting, but it is certainly progress, which is absolutely a good sign. There are some definite, delicate matters of politics to be negotiated between these two countries. Paul Whelan is a retired Marine who, according to his family, was visiting Moscow to attend a wedding. Last Friday, he was arrested by agents of Russia's Federal Security Service. Since then, he has been detained for what the Russians call suspicion of carrying out an act of espionage, though they have offered no evidence. Early this morning, while on a trip in Brazil, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo called on the Russians to act within international law in their treatment of Paul Whelan.
We've made clear to the Russians our expectation that we will learn more about the charges, come to understand what it is he's been accused of, and if the detention is not appropriate, we will demand his immediate return. This afternoon, the Russian Foreign Ministry said officials from the American consulate have been granted access to Whelan. The State Department has not released any details of that meeting. Whelan's family, speaking through his twin brother David, who lives in Canada, believe there is no way Paul would have done anything to violate any Russian laws.
There's no way that Paul is a spy. Of all the people that I know, he would be the most aware of the risks of getting sideways of law in a foreign country. I can't imagine that he would have broken spy laws in any country, let alone in Russia.
Yeah, for now, Paul Whelan is held in La Fortova Detention Center, which is the largest prison in the Moscow area. And the Russians have offered no proof, no evidence to go with this accusation of espionage. Devin, Sandra, back to you.
Yeah, Steve, so really not too many details on what happened during that meeting, but I guess we understand what typically happens when a diplomat or someone from the ambassadorial service gets to meet with a detainee.
Yeah, there is actually a protocol for this, no matter what country it is. That U.S. official will, number one, check on their health, physical health and welfare. Number two, provide a list of English-speaking attorneys because they need representation. And in this case, number three, keep the political channels of dialogue open.
Yeah, we will obviously follow this hour by hour. All right, Steve. Sandra.